Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Matej, and you're on House Money with Matej, where we explore how to be a good borrower, how to get people to lend you money, and also try to help out people who have money figure out if they want to lend or how they want to lend. With me today, I have a very special guest, Jesus Padilla. He's a firefighter for LA County. Thank you so much for all you've done recently and always, and also a real estate investor and private money lender.
Oh,
Um, Nice to meet you, Jesus. What's going on, man?
hey, what's up, Matej? Thanks for having me, and appreciate this opportunity on your podcast. I appreciate you having me on board, man. Just for correction, I work for LA City Fire Department, but
Oh, my
yeah,
bad. My bad.
that's okay. It's a fire department thing, It's all
Very
good.
cool.
Yeah,
So, how did you get started in real estate and especially lending?
yeah. So I got started in real estate about actually going to 5 years actually now.
Mm,
I started with the traditional route of buying properties. My first one was in Tennessee actually, and I got it the traditional way. 20% down and all that stuff, and trying to see the passive side of real estate investing. So that's how I kind of got started. I actually bought two properties like within the 2-3 months apart from each other. From closing one, and then I looked for another one. I closed another one, and then I quickly realized how you could pretty much run out of capital pretty damn quick. Doing the traditional way. So I kind of hit the ceiling on that end, and I was like, okay, now that I have these two investment properties, now what? Like, how can I scale to 5, 10, 15, 20, or whatever? And I didn't know anything about creative finance or anything like that. So I that's kind of my the beginning phase of my real estate journey until I hit the ceiling. And then I was trying to pay for more education and things like that. So I got involved into all this uh, other mentorships, you want to call it. I paid for multifamily mentorships, tax lien mentorships, public storage mentorships, all sorts of mentorships, right? And then I kind of started listening to, like, somehow sub two came into the picture of my feeds or whatever. And then the thing that kind of got interested was on the creative finance space, on how to buy properties creatively. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. So let me do that. And then when I joined sub two, like maybe like 2-3 weeks later, I joined Gator, right?
mm,
And that's how I got into the lending side
mhm,
of lending my funds out to create some type of, I guess, active slash passive income. Because my being a W2 firefighter, some people say it was the best job in the world, which it is, right? But also it is time consuming, and you do spend a lot of time away from family being a
mhm.
firefighter.
Right.
So I got into more like on the linear, like, hey, I just, with my W2 income, I would lend money out and help other people to either grow their portfolio or whatever they do in their business, and then I'll just do some lending for them. And so that's how I got into the lending, and I started, like I said, transactional first. So I was doing some EMDs, lending initially, and then I got into some more of a fix and flip lending with
Mm.
people that needed funds to for the gap or further fix and flips.
Can you explain what EMD lending is in case someone doesn't know?
Yeah, so EMD lending is more as a transactional kind of funding, is for earnest money deposits. So when I got into that, I did a lot of networking with wholesalers and things like that, and most of them, they you know they're kind of in their beginning phase. I would say, like, wholesaling is like the beginning phase of getting into real estate, right?
Mm,
And a lot of wholesalers, in order for them to lock up deals or whatever, they needed like EMD deposits, right? So show some type of commitment for um, their properties, and gives them some time frame for them either to assign it to another investor or to for some type of commission, right? So that's kind of how I added value to them, to be like, hey, I could fund your EMDs if I'm able to like JV or something like that, and collaborate with you on some type of you know you know either give me some of your assignment fee, or whatever, you kind of work out the deal structure within that specific wholesaler. So that's kind of how how I could
Gotcha.
explain EMD lending.
So they say it's lending, but it's more of a joint venture, kind of a partnership with them, kind of
Yeah,
idea. But still,
yeah,
it's money. You use
yeah,
money to make money rather
yeah.
than buy property.
Exactly. So in this particular way, right? They reach out to me saying, hey, because wholesalers are like that's their main focus,
Mhm,
right? Like they want to lock up as much properties as they can, so they could even assign it, or whatever they need, right? But in order for to show some type of commitment, they're gonna need that earnest money deposit. So
gotcha.
that's where I come in the picture, be like, hey, you need 5,000, you need 10,000, you need 15,000, or whatever that amount is, and then we work some type of deal structure to be like a joint venture on that deal, because I did learn um, on some of those transactions that if you're not protected, then you could potentially lose your EMD. So
Mhm,
there's a lot of due diligence that uh, does take in account with that, uh,
mhm.
just on the EMD side, right? So that's kind of how I did it when I started lending.
Gotcha. Okay. Do you prefer to do EMD lending or private money lending, like more the fix and flip lending?
I think at this point, just doing it for the last 2 years now. At this point, I would prefer doing some more of like PML
Mhm,
lending. I think, in my opinion, and just because just doing the transactional. But something that I learned is like, if you lock up 10 deals as a wholesaler, not all those 10 deals are going to close.
mhm.
So for me to have tied up my money for a month, or whatever that time frame is, and for that deal not to close, maybe out of those 10 deals, maybe only two close. So you
Oh,
are making money, but then the rest, it's tied up on
mhm,
deals, right? So that's kind of what I kind of learned, right? And I was okay with it at the beginning. Like, okay, that's fine, as long as I don't lose it. I'm
right.
fine. PML, I think it's more of building a relationship. Uh,
Mhm,
Obviously, having a relationship with the borrower first, and also doing due diligence on the property, or that asset itself. Uh,
mhm,
and also knowing the market, of what is doing, what it's going to do in the next 6 months, right? 4 6 months, because that's typically what a fix and flipper would ask for, about maybe 4 to 6 months for a fix and flip property.
mhm.
Um, Although the returns are a little bit less, I as far as like percentage wise, right?
Sure.
Um, if there's enough meat on the bone, then there's money to be made, right?
Mhm,
And then you could structure it any way too, right? So you could either work with them on a interest rate, or work with them in a way that, to be like, hey, how about you lower the interest rate, but you also give me some type of percentage at the closing, yeah, for 10%, 20%, or whatever that structure is, right? So there's different ways, obviously, just being creative on how to structure a PML deal to make it a win-win for everybody.
mhm,
So yeah, I think I will say a little bit of a PML. I think from now on, I think it's more for me is building that relationship first, with a PML, and be able to make it a win-win for
mhm.
the transaction and for them. And I'd rather, like I said, I'd rather do 20 transactions with one person than doing 20 transactions with 20 different people.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So
Yeah.
what is an ideal borrower? What's your favorite borrower? What are they like? What qualities do they have?
Yeah, so that is key, right? I think one of the key elements as far as being a good borrower is like protecting your funds is their number one priority, right? And in communication, whether the project is going south, I think having that, communicating that with your private money lender, it's key to not, to for to find some type of solution, right? Whether it's going good or whether it's going bad, but communication, one, I think it's a high priority, and also protecting your funds and making sure like they're that their best interest is for you to make you whole, right? Whatever that entails. So
Hmm. So you usually work with somewhat experienced flippers or newer flippers, or
yeah, I kind of the last few of them that I did, I actually did a little bit. I did actually both. I actually did with experienced flippers, and then I did with some newer fix and flippers, and I had some experiences with that as well, and I'm
Mhm.
more than happy to share with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think obviously the experienced flippers, they know what to expect. They know like the importance of protecting your funds and having that relationship with the lender.
Hmm. Have you had any horror stories about lending? And did they, if they are horror stories, did they look like horror stories from the beginning and you just didn't see the red flags, or they looked good at first and then um, turned bad later?
Yeah, so just what I have a story right now of that I could remember, and I'm still in this particular transaction, but I actually came in as a private money partner, and I was going to fund $50,000. It was a creative deal. Their exit strategy was sober living,
Hmm.
and I was going to come in with the funds for to pay the arrears, to pay the rehab costs, the holding, all that stuff, right? To So they could be an operator and operate their business as a sober living. Initially, everything looked good. The numbers looked good. It was going to be like a long term, like I said, long term relationship, long term hold for me, and I was gonna obviously be an equity partner with this deal.
Hmm.
And long story short, they did the whole Excel sheet. They showed me the numbers. They showed me how much they're gonna get per bed. They showed me the operations and all that stuff. So everything looked good until until I was asked to wire funds outside of escrow. That is
Oh.
that was my first red flag. Um, that I was like, oh wait, hold on, what? So I kind of, I asked those questions. I was like, hey, why would I? The thing was to pay the arrears outside of escrow, because their explanation was about the due on sale clause. They didn't want to trigger that. I was like, oh, okay. Well, at that point, I didn't really know too much. I was not I'm not a TC. I don't do the paperwork stuff or whatever. I just,
Hmm.
I'm just the lender, right? Like, and they presented me with the TC. Hey, he's gonna take care of all the paperwork, blah blah blah, whatever. I was like, okay, cool. Um, but we need to pay the arrears before the so we could I think reinstate the loan or something like that. I'm not, again, I'm not sure how that works. Um, so I ended up wiring, or I ended up paying for those arrears, which
Hmm.
was almost like $20,000. And then um, okay, cool. So then they open up an LLC. We opened up actually two LLCs, one for the real estate, one for the business. I was included on that, and we ran into the first hurdle of there was another additional lien on the property of a child support lien or something like that. And I was like, okay, so how are you guys gonna handle that? I'm like, I'm just the guy with the money. I'm more than happy to deploy, but I'm not going to like your underwriting was based on this number,
Hmm.
and we didn't know what the lien amount was for. So then I told him, well, wait, before I do anything else, where is my protection here? Where's
Hmm.
the paperwork? Where's the TC that's gonna sell me and put a deed of trust and put a lien on the property and this and that or whatever? And that's when the deal started going a little south, right? Uh,
Hmm.
And yeah, that didn't happen. And so I was like, I'm not wiring any more money outside of escrow. I'm not, you know, I need to see the paperwork. I need to figure out, I'm already $20,000 in on this deal, and you need another 30, right, to make it 50 for the
Mhm.
whatever else you guys need. Um, so then I told him I'm not wiring anymore. I need to see my protection. I need to see all that stuff and make sure the title and escrow
Mhm.
understands and receives this. And I never got that. Um, Fast forward, they told me, oh, okay, well, we're gonna make you whole. We're gonna pay you back the $20,000 or whatever. And until this point, I haven't received anything from them, but the only thing I receive is like $1,000 back.
Mhm. So the
And
number one rule then is never ever expect your lender to wire money outside of escrow.
correct. Do
Uh,
not don't ever do that.
yep.
That was
And as a lender, never ever wire money just to people or for any other reason outside of escrow.
yep.
Yep.
100.
Yep.
And later I find out through doing some more of my personal due diligence and trying to figure out what's going on with my funds. They actually opened up another LLC and they end up closing on that LLC. And I'm not sure how they got their funds or whatever, but they end up closing on a different LLC on that property without obviously without myself, and I had no protection at that
Mhm.
point. So yeah, I found out maybe like 3 4 months after we're going back and forth, that they closed on that property and with a different LLC. So
Mhm.
that was a huge learning experience for me.
Yeah, that sounds rough, man.
Yeah,
So when you say protection, just for clarity, you mean having a lien against the property to where you can foreclose against the property,
correct.
they default.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. And mind you that this was a sub two property. It was like the seller was in arrears. They were going to give it a little bit of cash to the seller at close of escrow. And obviously the renovation stuff to make it to sober living. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, so it would, yeah. So the protection would be like a deed of trust, a promissory note, even a personal guaranteed, or even a cross collateral. And
Mhm.
maybe taking a step further of like, have you guys done this before? If
Mhm.
so, show me proofs. What are the other businesses as far as sober living? Have you guys run a sober living before, or who's the experience here? Because there was besides me, there was other three more people involved on this, and and I should have just asked those questions
Mhm.
prior, as far as like experience and like, hey, ask those questions before, like, they say I ask those hard questions, the what ifs questions beforehand, before moving forward to any transaction. I think, the worst case scenario, if like, hey, if you guys defaulted, I'm going to take over the property or something like that,
Mhm.
you know so I kind of implemented that, obviously, through this experience. I kind of, when I lend people money, I kind of ask those hard questions, and I rather ask them in the front end, rather than like finding out later.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've definitely found out that people lose all incentive to act and do what you want them to do after you've given them your money.
Hmm.
Only have incentive to act before then. So
Yeah,
anything you want answered or communicated, make sure you do it before. And all
yeah,
the documents and proof you want, make sure you do it before you send any money.
yeah, and maybe just also, obviously, on your end, hire a transaction coordinator that has experience on this, like specifically on lending, right? Because obviously having a TC to close the deal is different than a TC to that has experience on, like, hey, your money is protected, right? We could do this X, Y, and Z to make sure they default or whatever. So that was something that I kind of learned on my end, to be like, I want to, moving forward, I'll hire a TC that knows the paperwork for my protection, as far as
Mm.
for lending, you know.
Yeah, even though it's not technically their job to protect us, it is helpful when the paperwork is paper tight, or what is it, airtight, I guess.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah, because I know kind of what I need, but I don't know exactly what the paperwork's supposed to look like.
yeah, yeah,
But when
and that's
I do it,
exactly what I
I know it,
mean. Yeah, yeah,
right?
that's exactly kind of what I mean. That like they know, hey, you need to have X, this, and this. Like at least I have that, and I feel a little bit more secure on
Mhm,
deploying those funds. I know at the end of the day, it's our responsibility to pretty much do our due diligence and all that stuff. But I think just having a TC by your side that be like, hey, this is what you need, this is blah blah blah, whatever. I
mhm.
think that helps a lot.
Yeah. So, how would you vet a new borrower now?
Um, I think I would vet them. I think now I would, they call it dating, right? I would
Mhm,
date them first, right? Whether it's a male or female, whatever, right? They call it dating, as far as like get to know them a little bit more, get to know what they're doing, like see what their end goals are, mission, their goals, their vision, all that stuff, and see if it aligns to what. But like, oh, cool. One day I wanna do co-living. I want to do sober living. I want to do whatever that is, right? But I think just dating that person and just kind of knowing, networking with them and figure out like what their vision is, and see if that makes sense. Whether I think whether they're new or seasoned investors, I think everybody deserves a fair shot. I think like if they mean well, I think they're going to do well. And in my eyes, as far as being a lender, like I do understand that deals go south, but not because of the borrower, because of the market. Maybe something happened, like maybe their GC, something screwed up or whatever. And
mhm,
I understand that. Um, but as long as like they communicate that with me, I'm more than happy to work with them, work out something, you
mhm.
know, for them to make me whole again, so we could do this again, But I think a lot has to do with vetting that borrower to where they have good intentions, you know, because there's a lot of people out there that just want to have your money and they don't,
Mhm.
they just don't, they don't see the amount and effort of what it costs for you to earn that, and like I said, I'm using literally my W2 income to fund these deals, not like I wasn't, I just don't have this thing laying around, or inherit money or whatever, it was like hard earned money. So as long as they understand that, I think it will be good.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
And obviously the deal itself as well, right? Like, make sure they don't make sure that their due diligence, they dot all their I's, cross all their T's, and their due diligence is solid. And and see what the asset itself, what the potential for the asset is going to do, whatever their strategy is.
So if I don't know you and I find out your email from some kind of lender's list, and I just shoot you off an email, hey, I've got this deal. It's in West Virginia, and I'm closing in 3 days. Can I have 300K?
Yeah,
Uh,
that's probably not going to happen.
okay.
I think, at least for me, I don't think, maybe other people will do this deal, but I think,
I don't know any.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It would, you need some time, right? You need some time. You need to know the deal, like 3 days to wire money to escrow because they're gonna close right now. I think, you need your due diligence as well as a
Mhm,
lender. I think you need to vet the borrower, and I think again I think it's a relationship thing too. I think, that's kind of how I did it when I asked people, because I borrow money too, but I I want to build that relationship first before I even ask for anything,
mhm.
So yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. So that I think if I get a cold email saying that, hey, I heard you're a PML and I need funds in 3 days, I don't even pay attention. They don't even bother of knowing me or contacting me or anything like that. At that point, it's just a transaction other than a relationship.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a transaction I don't want to do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
So, what are you up to, Jesus? What do you want to accomplish? Who do you want to reach out to? How can people partner with you? How do they get a hold of you?
yeah, so at this point in my journey, as far as real estate stuff, what I do, I focus a lot more in affordable housing in
Mm-hmm.
the Midwest, specifically in Cleveland. That's
Mm-hmm.
not like my core market, and also I have other partners that are in that market as well.
Mm-hmm.
We focus on obviously housing single family moms or even veterans into that market there. And the reason why we chose that market, or I chose that market, is because it's a high demand market. It's a lot of families out there that need housing,
Mm-hmm.
and you could provide them housing with such a low entry cost that it's guaranteed, right? The monthly income that you get is backed by the government, right? So it's guaranteed income. That's one of the reasons, again, that we're into that market. So my focus is that Section 8 properties in Cleveland, Ohio.
Mm-hmm. So, do you want people to send you properties or to help you fund properties, or are some of your partners firefighters? Do you want?
Yeah, I actually have a few firefighters that are interested on actually acquiring
Mm-hmm.
Section 8 properties. For the most part, yeah, I would like more creative deals that sent to me in that market, or even cash deals work too. It's just you just have to get them on the right price.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then as far as the funding side, yeah, I think obviously I use my personal funds, but you hit a cap on it, right? So in order to make a difference and to expand your portfolio, you're gonna have to build relationships and network with people or lenders, brokers, or whatever, so you could be able to grow your own portfolio too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah. How can people get a hold of you?
Mainly through Instagram. I think or Facebook. They could always reach out to me. And more than happy to share my Instagram with you. It's Jesus underscore Padilla 90, I think. So
90.
yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Send me.
Jesus underscore Padilla 90. Got it. Okay. And I'll put it in the description as well.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Jesus underscore Padilla 11.
11. Okay. Not
11.
90.
Not
11.
90. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they can reach out to me there and see how if people want to get into Section 8. More than happy to. I'm not a gatekeeper, so I could tell them the A to Z process and see how we could collaborate. And you know, um, being a lender, I think in my end, I think I would show them every step of the way to where they could see the process A to Z. And if they ever want to do that on their own, more than happy to also help them out.
Fantastic. Cool, man. Well, hey, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank
And
you.
I'll see you soon, man.
All right, thanks, Mate. Thank you for having me, brother. Really appreciate it.
Later.
Okay.